You are welcome again to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. R. Kelly's ordeal started a few years before his arrest, with the Me Too movement taking to the streets with banners that wanted him silenced. Whoever was funding the R. Kelly takedown planned it out in phases, and this was simply the beginning of what would eventually be half a decade of struggle to regain his freedom. If the government hadn't been a part of this agenda, they would have attempted an indictment at this point, but because they were technically involved and right behind this arrangement, they waited for their turn, which would come right after the docuseries airing on Lifetime television. Indeed, the making of the Surviving R. Kelly documentary was already underway, and eventually premiered in a Chicago public theater amidst interruptions of terror threats by Don Russell that attempted to slow down the process. One of the highlights during the making of the Surviving R. Kelly documentary was the disagreements between the production and editing team, which saw the entire group of editors jointly resign for reasons which until today have remained a mystery to fans and supporters of R. Kelly, and to everyone else who has been following the case against him. The part where the entire editing team, which was comprised of mainly African Americans with only one white individual resigning, did not become public information until later in June 2020, when the docuseries was nominated for the Peabody Awards, and a concerned colleague who worked at Bunim/Murray in 2018 blew the whistle. Peggy Tashjian made an important post on her Instagram mentioning how while she worked at Bunim/Murray, she saw a team of predominantly black editors who worked on the Surviving R. Kelly documentary take a stand over the direction of the docuseries, and resign as a group over a creative disagreement regarding how to empower the alleged survivors. Because she believed the final aired product was simply an edited version of their cut, she felt it unfair that their names were not listed and therefore their work was not acknowledged against the prestigious Peabody Award the show had fetched on June 10. Peggy added that she knew well the resigned editors were strongly prohibited from discussing the show, or any matters related to it, considering they were bound by non-disclosure agreements they had been forced to sign. Meanwhile, Peggy was not the only TV editor speaking on this issue at that time. Some of the resigned editors, such as Daisha Broadway and Stephanie Filo, also tried to make their disappointments known but did not come out as strongly to avoid possible repercussions. They all posted this same photo of the original editing team on their social media, triggering reaction comments that criticized white producers who feel they have the moral authority to tell black stories better than the actual storytellers. Many congratulated the team for having stood their ground for what they believed was the right thing to do. Despite numerous attempts by media houses and tabloids to tell the story about these resigned editors, all they have done is mention controversy and disagreement with the top officials as the reason for this rather premature resignation, but have never come out to point at the actual reason for this premature retirement. All we have heard is that the team was asked to use more of R. Kelly video clips and talk more about his rise to fame, as well as mention some of Aaliyah's greatest hits to keep viewers glued to their screens, a move which the editors said would only sensationalize the series, taking attention of survivor stories. The top officials, who knew well what they wanted, insisted, causing the editors to demand a meeting with their superior Karsberg that never happened. Instead, several meetings over which important decisions were made took place between Karsberg and the show's white supervising story producer in the editor's absence. A representative of Bunim/Murray referred to Karsberg's collaboration with the white superiors Lauren Feldman and Carly's standard industry workflow, even if it excluded the input of the actual editors on the job. The editing team felt that their concerns were being overridden, and that they weren't even given the chance to sit down with the team and be heard. While editor involvement in the making of decisions at such meetings may vary from project to project, the editing team members on this particular project were accustomed to attending such meetings for other projects, and could not understand what was so special with the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, that the nearly all-black editing team wasn't invited to join in the sharing of notes. Throughout all the reports which have been made with regard to the resignation of the editing team, there has been a noticeable intent to brand their resignation as a racial disagreement, whereby they sought more black involvement. When Lifetime executive producer Bryant was asked to comment on this, he too suggested that because he was involved in these rather private meetings, the black man's opinion was fully catered for, and like this, the real subject matter of why the entire team would all give up their jobs has remained ignored and unaddressed. While the Resigned editors mentioned that the changes proposed by the white superiors intended to make the docuseries to become a true crime story, the latter do not agree and suggest that this was never the case. On the other hand, they say their main aim was to expose R. Kelly absolutely, and to have as many viewers as possible watching the documentary, even if it meant giving less attention to the survivor stories. Many people who have taken some time off to take a deeper look beneath the surface of things and analyze matters to do with this documentary have concluded that the main reason the white superiors wanted less time accorded to the survivor stories and more R. Kelly interludes is because they knew well that many of these accusers were lying, and that a number of them typically had no real story to tell, and the purpose of the show was only to sensationalize the matter, and give the district attorney's office an excuse to commence their advertising for accusers to come forward. It's only this step that would lead to a successful indictment supported by the blinded masses. There is definitely a lot of drama behind the resignation of an entire team of editors, but because they were made to sign non-disclosure agreements, they cannot tell us so much, and like this we are only left to do guesswork. The constant fact that stands out, however, is that the predominantly black editing team had a problem with their predominantly white superiors on how much of the accuser's stories to show, as compared to speaking on R. Kelly and Aaliyah and using his music within the production. It appears as though the editors did not want to speak a lot on R. Kelly based on rumors, and preferred to stick to the stories actually told by the women, which was not in line with the producer's intentions. There is a likelihood that this Resigned team was against the telling of lies on the R&B king, but because sticking to the truth was never going to make R. Kelly look as evil as they wanted him portrayed, it was not an option the white superiors were willing to listen to. With this, we are right to suggest we may never get to know the real reason the first Surviving R. Kelly editing team resigned, for it looks like someone just doesn't want this information out. According to TBN, once R. Kelly has won his appeal, they need to pay him back every dime of the money they made in restitutions. And anyone who lied on him should pay damages for the defamation they caused. Even reporters who wrote false stories against him to ruin his reputation and career over their lies should be charged. Bongine should sue them all. All the actors, producers and directors of the docuseries ought to pay for the damage they caused R. Kelly. There is no doubt the team which resigned likely realized this was all a mudslinging campaign and resigned. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to lfnmedia15@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.